Hi, I'm Greg Weldon. I'm the host of Money Markets and New Age Investing. We started the podcast a couple of years ago. We're into season 3 now, and we've hit a lot of milestones in terms of downloads and followers. And so thank you to everyone out there that's supported us up to here. But I find it interesting now as we go into the middle of this third season, as I see what's happening around the world and how we've really discussed this now for the better part of 3 years, how we are actually getting a little bit of recognition from the kind of the podcast community, so to speak. Millionpodcasts.com, okay, millionpodcasts.com. 1.3 million podcasts they follow and rank, all right? They've added 340,000 new podcasts in the last quarter. I mean, so you talk about the fastest growing hub, not only for podcasts, but really for podcast information on anything. And in the financial industry, we are lucky enough and honored enough and humbled by the fact that Million Podcasts has chosen us as one of the top-ranked 100 podcasts in a variety of categories. Number 1, the Top 100 trading podcast. We're number 55. I mean, there's a ton of traders. There's thousands of these podcasts out there, but I bring 41 years of experience to this. I have worked on the trading floor. I have worked in the brokerage community. I have worked at 2 of the most successful hedge funds in the history of hedge funds, and I've been on my own as a trader and money manager, and independent research provider for institutional clients for the last 26 years. So, when we talk about trading, this is what I do, and it's an art. It's not a science. And I love the whole, theory and philosophies around trading and methodologies and discussions and risk reward and all the math and all the quantitative work and all the technical analysis that goes into trading these markets, because the bottom line is you have to do things outside the box these days. You want to keep pace with the perpetual, omnipresent debasement of the purchasing power of paper money, and that's pretty much global. In terms of this too, number 59 in the top 100 of capital markets. I mean, every Fidelity, Schwab, Goldman, everyone's got their own podcast. Bloomberg, CNBC, Jim Cramer, for crying out loud. Anyone can have a podcast, even me. But the dynamic is 59 in capital markets because it is a big picture, macro, top-down, technical, quantitative, bottom-up, where you meld in the middle and you decide where you're going to put your money at risk, because this is what it's about, the capital markets, trading. And in terms of the macro dynamic, I love the macro forecast. We're talking about inflation. We have called inflation beautifully. And this is the bigger picture dynamic. This is the change in the 40-year downtrend in interest rates and inflation from 1980 when Paul Volcker last beat inflation. That's over. Paul Volcker, Ronald Reagan had a big advantage. They had no debt. We are swamped with debt. We're in a debt black hole. We have more debt than GDP. Household debt and public debt, same thing, is 60 trillion versus GDP. That's about 20 trillion. That's a 3-to-1 ratio. That's a disaster waiting to happen, number 1. Number 2, consumers, okay? Personal spending is greater than disposable income now on a month-to-month basis. Credit card debt, greater than savings now. This is a big problem. No wonder delinquencies on credit card debt is at levels we haven't seen since the financial crisis in 2009. That's not a coincidence. What we have had, luckily, is wage gains that have kind of matched inflation, that has given some buffer. Wage gains starting to dissipate. This is a big problem going forward in 2025. One of the things we'll be talking about in terms of inflation, because that's the next bit of stress on a consumer that's already telling us he is stressed to the max. When you have the reading of consumer confidence for households making above $100,000 a year at the lowest level ever, below, pandemic lows, below 2008 lows, below tech bubble crash lows, below 1987 lows, that's a real problem. And that is a global problem. And we are number 73 out of the top 100 globally. I'm probably more honored by this one than any other single thing. But our goal here really is to help people. All right, I have the institutional business. We have the money management for high net worth individuals. But really, the podcast was designed not to make money, no, to help people, because it's going to become increasingly more difficult to keep pace with the omnipresent and the next round of monetary debasement of the purchasing power of your paper, money, wealth, income, all of the above. You're going to have to do different things like commodities, like currencies, like some of these futures contracts, and we walk you through that every time we do a podcast. Our goal, to help as many people out there as we can, because just being passively invested in the equity market is not going to work anymore. We see this in case where you're in this cycle in all these other countries where the rise in the stock market doesn't meet the debasement in the purchasing power of the currency. Check us out, money, markets, and new age investing, and a hats off to millionpodcast.com.